The strange visitor. John lived alone in a small wooden cabin, far from the noisy cities. Surrounded by thick forest and cold wind, it was quiet, just the way he liked it. He was a former soldier, a pilot in the Earth Defense Force. But those days were long gone. The war with the aliens had ended over a decade ago. Now all he wanted was peace. But peace doesn't last forever. It was just after midnight. The sky was full of stars, and the forest was silent. John sat near the fireplace, holding a warm cup of tea. His dog, Max, slept near his feet. Then, the lights flickered. Max lifted his head and growled. John stood up, alert. He looked outside through the window and froze. There was someone standing just outside the cabin. At first, he thought it was a woman. But as she stepped forward into the moonlight, John realized she was not human. She was Zyrex, tall, with silver skin and glowing eyes. Her long cloak moved in the wind, but her face remained calm. John's blood turned cold. He hadn't seen a Zyrex since the war ended. He slowly reached for the weapon hidden behind the door. Before he could speak, she raised her hand. Not to attack, but to show peace. "I come alone," she said in a clear, strange voice. "I don't mean harm." John didn't lower his guard. "Why are you here?" he asked. The alien woman stepped closer. "Because of something that happened 12 years ago." John narrowed his eyes. "What are you talking about?" She looked at him for a long time, then said the words that would change his life forever. "She's your daughter. Remember that night, human?" Time seemed to stop. John's heart beat loudly in his chest. "What did you say?" The Zyrex woman looked into his eyes. 12 years ago, during the war, you saved a wounded soldier on a dying moon. That soldier was me." John remembered. A rescue mission. A crashed ship. A strange connection in the darkness. 3 nights trapped underground. He thought it was just a dream, a hallucination from the cold and fear. But it wasn't. "You disappeared," John said. "I never saw you again." "I was pregnant," she replied softly. "And I was ordered to forget. But I didn't." She raised a small device from her hand. A hologram appeared in the air. A young girl, glowing slightly, standing inside a spaceship. She looked about 12 years old. Her hair was dark. Her skin was light silver. But her eyes, they were John's. Exactly like his. "Her name is Leora," the alien woman said. "She is your daughter." John couldn't speak. He just stared at the image, frozen. "She's special," the woman continued. "Born of 2 worlds. She has power we don't understand." John slowly sat down, trying to breathe. "Why are you here now?" he asked. She paused. "Because she's changing, growing stronger, and she's asking for you." "Me?" "Yes," the woman said. "She wants her dad." Outside, the trees began to shake. A strange low hum filled the air. John stepped outside and looked up. A shape appeared in the sky, large, dark, and floating just above the clouds. It was a spaceship, almost invisible, hidden in a cloaking field. But now it revealed itself. In the center of the ship, through a glowing window, John saw her, the girl from the hologram. Leora. She was watching him. Her small hand touched the glass. And then her voice entered his mind. "Daddy, is that really you?" John stumbled back, eyes wide. "She spoke to me." "Yes," the alien woman said. "She's connected to you. Your blood, your memories. She knows you, even if you never met her." John looked up again, heart heavy with emotion and confusion. "Why now? Why bring her here?" "Because the others want to keep her locked away. They fear her power. I broke the law to bring you here. I had no choice." John turned to her. "What do you expect me to do? Come with me. Just once. Meet her. She needs you." Inside the ship, Leora's eyes glowed softly. She was no ordinary child. And far above Earth, forces were already moving. Councils whispering. Weapons charging. Because if this child was allowed to live freely, the balance of power could change forever. John looked at the stars, then at the ship. then at the hologram of the girl who had his eyes. And he whispered, "She's mine." The alien woman nodded. "Yes, and she's waiting." John stood outside his cabin, still frozen by the alien woman's words. "She's your daughter. Remember that night, human?" And then, with a calm voice that didn't match the storm in his mind, she said, "Now she wants her dad." John's legs felt weak. His past, buried and locked deep inside him, had just punched its way back into his life. 12 years ago, during the Earth-Zyrex War, John had been a rescue pilot. One night, during a crash mission on a dying alien moon, he saved a wounded Zyrex soldier, female, frightened, left behind by her own kind. They were trapped for 3 nights under a collapsed mining base. They thought they would die together, but something happened in that darkness. Something no one would ever believe. He never spoke of it again. Until now. The alien woman stepped closer. Her skin had a faint glow, and her eyes shimmered like liquid silver. She raised her arm and touched a button on her suit. The sky above them shifted. A shimmer, then a form. A massive alien ship, cloaked until now, slowly uncloaked above the trees. Its shape was sleek like a stingray, humming with silent energy. And there, behind one of its transparent viewing domes, stood a figure. A young girl, tall, glowing faintly like the woman beside him. She had long dark hair, but her eyes were unmistakable. They were his. John gasped. He didn't say anything. Couldn't. His voice had vanished. The girl stared at him with a face that looked curious and a little angry. Then her lips moved, not in sound, but the words were inside his head. "Daddy, is that really you?" John stumbled back. The alien woman caught him gently. "She's been watching you for a year," the alien woman said. "She knows who you are. She has your memories. She sees things through your blood." "What is she?" John whispered. "She's not human. She's not even fully Zyrex." The alien nodded. "She is both. And more." John sat on the steps of his porch, holding his head. "Why now? Why did you bring her now?" The alien woman looked up at the ship. "Because she's changing. Fast. Her powers are waking up. Emotions she can't control. Thoughts that aren't hers. The council wants her locked away. They fear she'll become dangerous." "Will she?" John asked softly. The alien paused. "She already is." Inside the ship, the girl placed her hand on the glass. The surface glowed beneath her fingers. A nearby control panel sparked. A small ripple of power moved through the ship systems. Lights blinked. Systems failed and rebooted. One of the alien crew members stepped back, clearly afraid. John saw all of it through a live projection the alien woman showed him from her wrist device. "You see now," she said. "She needs you. You are the missing half of her." John stood up slowly. "What do you expect me to do? Just fly off into the stars? Join your war?" The alien stepped close, just inches from his face. "No war. No fighting. Just meet her. Talk to her. Show her that you are real. That you care." John looked at the sky. The girl's eyes hadn't left him. He could still feel her voice in his mind. Soft, sad. "I waited for you." Suddenly, a second ship appeared from behind the clouds. Black, sharp, and loud. It was human-made. Earth's military. They had spotted the alien vessel. Sirens wailed from town. Dogs barked. Floodlights lit up the forest. "They found us," the alien woman said. "If they catch me, they'll kill me. If they find her, they'll lock her away forever." John turned to her. "Can you take me to her now?" She nodded. "Only if you're sure." John didn't hesitate. "I need to know. I need to see her. She deserves that." The alien pressed a crystal on her chest. A bright ring of light formed around them. Trees swayed. Leaves flew. And in a flash of blue light, they were gone. The world spun. John's ears rang. When he opened his eyes, he was inside the alien ship. Smooth walls. Floating lights. Strange shapes. And in the center, standing still, was the girl. She looked about 12. But her presence felt ancient. When she saw John, her eyes welled up, but she didn't cry. Instead, she spoke aloud for the first time. "You came." John's voice cracked. "I didn't know. I didn't know about you." She tilted her head. "Now you do." There was silence. Then she walked closer. "Do you want to leave me too?" John felt his heart break. "No," he said. "I came to find you, and I'm not going anywhere." But just as he reached out, alarms blared across the ship. A voice screamed, "Warning! Human warcraft approaching. Energy weapons charged." The girl's eyes glowed, and her hair began to rise, floating in the air. John turned and saw her hands shining with raw white power. She whispered, "They want to hurt you, but I won't let them." John had never flown through space before. Now he was speeding through it, inside a living alien ship, next to a woman who once fought against Earth, and heading straight toward a daughter he never knew he had. Everything felt unreal. The stars outside moved too fast. They weren't blinking like back home. They were stretching, bending, as if time itself was being pulled. He touched the smooth surface of the wall beside him. Felt warm. The ship was alive. It was breathing. "We'll be there soon," the alien woman said. "She's waiting for you." The ship slowed down as they approached a dark, glowing planet. It looked like a black pearl, cracked with veins of soft blue light. Floating towers pierced through clouds like thin needles. Rivers of energy flowed between cities. This was the Zyrex homeworld. "Don't stare too long," the woman said. "It's beautiful, but dangerous." They landed near a hidden facility surrounded by mountains. John was taken through a smooth tunnel of light. No doors, no guards. The ship just opened for him like it wanted him to go inside. At the center of the building, protected by a glowing energy dome, was her, his daughter. She was sitting cross-legged on the floor, her eyes closed, floating a few inches above the ground. Around her, objects spun slowly. Stones, metal, light, and even water. John stepped forward. Her eyes opened. The spinning objects crashed to the ground. For a moment, they just looked at each other. She stood up slowly. No fear, no smile, just silence. "You're real," she said. "I am," John replied. "And so are you." She walked closer. John noticed her hands were trembling. Not with fear, but with something else. Like her body was full of power she couldn't control. "They told me you left," she said. "That humans didn't care." "They were wrong," he said softly. "I didn't know you existed." She narrowed her eyes. "You had a choice that night." John's voice cracked. "I thought it was a dream. I thought it wasn't real." The girl looked down at her hand. A small spark danced between her fingers. "I feel everything," she whispered. "People's thoughts, emotions, lies, pain. I see it all, and it hurts." Suddenly, lights around the room flickered. The dome pulsed. The alien woman stepped in, nervous. "Her mind is too open," she said. "She's absorbing energy. If she breaks, she'll bring down the whole facility." John moved forward quickly. Hey, look at me. You're not alone anymore." His daughter looked up. Her eyes were glowing white. "You don't know me." "Maybe not," John said. "But I want to. I'm here now." The girl blinked. For the first time, she looked like a child again. "Will you stay?" she asked. "As long as you need," he answered. A moment of calm. The energy faded. Her eyes returned to normal. She fell into his arms. Not like a weapon, but like a little girl who had waited too long for a hug. But peace didn't last. Outside the room, red lights flashed. A deep voice echoed through the facility. "Unauthorized human detected. Council forces inbound." The alien woman's face changed. "Fear. They found you," she said. "They know who she is now. They'll come for both of you." John stood, still holding his daughter. "Then we run." But the girl shook her head. "No," she whispered. "I'm tired of running." She turned to the dome wall. It opened for her. The wind from outside blew in. She stepped into it calm, focused. Above them, alien ships appeared, surrounding the mountain. The girl looked up at the sky, then back at John. They're afraid of me, aren't they? John nodded. Because you're strong. Will you be afraid too? She asked. Never, he said. The alien woman came forward. She has a choice, she said. She can come with me, stay hidden. Or she can reveal herself to the council. The girl stood still. I want to speak, she said. To tell them who I am. John grabbed her hand. We'll face them together. As the council ships began to land, soldiers in black armor marched toward the facility. John, the alien woman, and the child stood at the entrance. One soldier raised a weapon, but before he could fire, the girl stepped forward. She raised one hand, and the air around her shimmered. Weapons melted. The ground shook, but her voice was calm. I'm not your enemy. I'm your future. The alien soldiers didn't move. They just stared at the girl, her glowing eyes, her raised hand, and the melted weapons at their feet. No one had ever seen power like this from a child. No one had ever seen a hybrid before. John stood behind her, heart racing. He didn't know if she was protecting them, or if she was about to lose control. Easy, he whispered. You don't need to fight. The girl didn't turn. She just stared at the soldiers. They were going to shoot you, she said. I won't let them take you away. The alien woman stepped closer. Control it, child. Don't let the energy control you. The girl's hands were shaking. The air around her cracked with white sparks. The ground below her feet began to lift, small rocks hovering with her emotions. Suddenly, a loud humming sound filled the air. A tall, older alien with silver armor floated down from a ship above. His eyes were cold, his face emotionless. This was High Commander Zoran, head of the Zyrex Council. He looked at the girl, then at John. So, Zoran said, the human finally meets his creation. John stepped forward, protective. She's not a creation. She's my daughter. Zoran raised an eyebrow. She is unstable, dangerous, and illegal. The girl's voice cut through the air. You locked me in a glass room my whole life. To protect the galaxy, Zoran replied. You are too much of both, and not enough of either. John saw his daughter's face change. Pain, anger, a burning sadness. Suddenly, the air twisted. Winds roared. Her hair rose like flames, and a white storm formed around her. Everyone stepped back except John. He reached out slowly. Hey, he said softly. You're not a weapon. You're my kid. But the girl wasn't listening. Inside her mind, voices screamed. Memories that weren't hers. Pain from the lab. The tests. The years alone. They said I was a mistake, she whispered. Maybe they're right. No, John said firmly. You're a miracle. You're alive. You're strong. But you're not alone anymore. Her breathing slowed. The light faded slightly. Zoran stepped forward again. If she can't be controlled, she must be contained. You'll have to go through me, John said. Zoran looked at him with disgust. Humans. Always emotional. Always weak. But then the girl spoke again. Quiet, but clear. I don't want to be a danger. Everyone froze. I just wanted a father, a name, a place where I belong. She lowered her arms. The energy storm stopped. Birds that had flown away now returned. The cracked air stilled. For a moment it was calm. John stepped closer and held her hand. You belong with me. Even if I'm not like you? She asked. Especially because you're not like me, he said with a smile. But deep below the mountain, in a hidden Zyrex control center, red lights blinked. An alien scientist watched the girl on a screen. Subject Alpha has stabilized, he said. Another voice replied, Then it's time. Begin Project Silence. The hybrid must not live. Back in the mountains, Zoran turned to leave, his cape blowing in the wind. You have one day. After that, she will be taken. We're not running, John said. Zoran didn't reply. He vanished into the sky. Later that night, inside the alien facility, John sat with his daughter. She leaned against him, eyes heavy. Do you remember her? She asked. My mother. John nodded slowly. She saved my life. She was brave, kind. She looked at me like I wasn't a human, just a soul. The girl smiled faintly. That's how I look at you too. She fell asleep on his shoulder. But outside, in the dark corners of the facility, hidden eyes watched. And they weren't waiting. They were planning. The mountain winds howled through the night. Inside the alien facility, John stood by the observation window. His daughter slept behind him, peaceful for the first time since he had arrived. But peace never lasted long out here. Behind the glass, the stars blinked quietly, cold, distant, and uncaring. A soft voice spoke behind him. They've made their decision, the alien woman said. The council will not let her live. John turned sharply. Why? She didn't hurt anyone. They don't see her as a person, she said. They see her as a threat, or worse, a mistake. She handed John a small device. Inside, a secret recording played, a meeting of the Zyrex High Council. Begin Project Silence. The hybrid will never be stable. Terminate before the human population learns of her existence. John's hands curled into fists. They're scared of what she might become. The woman nodded. And what she already is. John looked back at his daughter. She was just a kid. A strange one, yes, but still a child. Half human. Half Zyrex. All heart. She wanted love, not power. A name, not a war. But fear didn't care. Fear just wanted her gone. I won't let them touch her, John said. The next morning, alien guards arrived. Too many. Zoran returned with his silver cloak, flanked by armed drones and black-suited council enforcers. Their weapons were not set to stun. The girl stood beside her father, confused. Why are they here? To take you away, John said, stepping in front of her. But they'll have to go through me. Zoran raised a hand. Step aside, human. We offered time. You wasted it. You gave us fear, John replied. We chose love. Just then, the ground shook. The council wasn't alone. From the sky, more ships descended. But not Zyrex ships. Human ships. Earth's war fleet had followed John's signal. For the first time in history, Zyrex and human warships were in the same airspace, with weapons pointed directly at each other. For her. Inside the control center, the alien woman turned sharply to John. This is what they wanted, she whispered. Not just to kill her, but to start a war. Use her as the excuse. The girl stared into the sky. I didn't ask for this. Her hands began to glow again. Emotions were rising. Her power stirred. John knelt down quickly. Look at me. Right here. Breathe. You're okay. I'm with you. They want to hurt everyone, she said softly. Should I stop them? No, John said. Protecting someone doesn't mean destroying others. It means knowing when to stand and when to forgive. Zoran shouted. This is your final chance. Surrender the hybrid or we open fire. John stood up, calm, strong. Her name is Leora. Everyone froze. Not the hybrid. Not the weapon. Her name is Leora. And she's not going anywhere. Silence. Then a voice came from above. A general from the human fleet. We have eyes on the child. Awaiting your orders, Commander. John walked to the edge of the platform, looked into the sky, and pressed the comm. Stand down. She's under my protection. No shots fired. A pause. Roger that. No engagement unless provoked. Zoran clenched his jaw. You risk the galaxy for this mistake? No, John said. I'm saving it. One soul at a time. The girl, Leora, closed her eyes. She raised her hand. Instead of attacking, she released a pulse of soft white light. It passed through the guards, through Zoran, through the ships. It didn't hurt anyone. But something changed. The soldiers lowered their weapons. One by one. Some began to cry. Others looked at their hands, confused, like something inside them had shifted. What did she do? One whispered. The alien woman smiled. She shared her memory, her pain, her loneliness. Zoran stepped back, stunned. He saw flashes in his mind, a little girl behind glass, crying, reaching. Forgotten. He felt guilt. Real heavy guilt. Leora turned to her father. I didn't mean to. It just happened. You gave them what they never gave you, he said. You showed them your truth. Zoran's voice broke the silence. We will speak with the council again. I need to think. Then he vanished in a beam of blue light. For now, the battle was over. But the war inside the council had just begun. That night, John and Leora sat under the alien stars. Why did you call me Leora? She asked. It means light in an old Earth language, John replied. Because that's what you are. My light in the dark. She leaned her head on his shoulder. And somewhere far away, in a dark room filled with whispers, a new enemy was watching them. One who didn't want peace. One who wanted power. The night was quiet, but it didn't feel safe. Not anymore. Inside the old Zyrex temple, hidden in the frozen mountains, Leora sat alone. Eyes glowing dimly, fingers tracing the cracks in the ancient stone beneath her. She could hear the stars. She could feel every heartbeat inside the facility. She could even feel the fear of her enemies. And worse, she could feel something calling her. John stood by the door, watching her silently. He hadn't slept. How could he? His daughter, Leora, the hybrid child he never knew existed, was now the most powerful being on 2 planets. And now, she had a choice to make. You're up early, John said gently, walking over. Leora looked at him, her face calm, but her voice shaky. I can hear them. The ones who hate me. The ones who want me to fix everything. Both sides. Both afraid of each other. They always were, John said. Fear makes people dangerous. She looked down at her hands. What if I can stop it all? What if I just silence the fear? John froze. What do you mean? The alien woman entered the room, her face tense. There is an ancient weapon, buried under this temple. It reacts to Leora's energy. What kind of weapon? John asked. She looked at him with sorrow in her eyes. Not a bomb. Something older. A pulse that wipes minds. Memories. Pain. History. Clean slates. John took a step back. You want her to erase people's memories? Not me, she said. But the council. Some of them believe it's the only way to end the war. Leora stood up slowly. If they forget who they were, maybe they'll stop fighting. John grabbed her hand. Or maybe they'll lose everything that made them who they are. You can't just take away pain. People have to learn from it. But what if they never do? She asked. What if I become the thing that finally brings peace? The alien woman stepped forward. They will ask her to activate it. Today, the council is divided. Some want peace. Some want control. But all of them agree on one thing. She's their last hope or their final weapon. Later that day, a meeting was held in the ancient hall. Alien elders stood in silence. John and Leora were brought forward. Zoran spoke from a high platform. You have power the stars haven't seen in centuries, he said to Leora. You can end all this, but only if you let go of your human side. Leora's voice echoed through the hall. What happens to the people if I use the pulse? Their hatred will vanish, Zoran said. They will wake up clean. No war, no fear, just order. John shook his head. You mean control. You want to wipe minds to avoid facing the truth. Zoran looked at him. Your daughter was never meant to live. But now that she does, she must be used. Leora looked around the room. All my life, you locked me away. You called me unstable. A threat. She walked toward the center of the room, where a glowing ancient platform waited. The pulse core. She placed one hand on it. It lit up instantly. Waves of energy rose into the air. She's activating it, a council member whispered. It's working. John's heart sank. He ran toward her. Leora, wait. But Leora didn't move. She closed her eyes. And inside her mind, time slowed. She saw a world with no war, no pain, no hunger, but also no art, no love, no memory of her mother, no John, just blank peace. Was that peace worth the price? A single tear fell from her eye. She stepped back. The lights dimmed. The pulse core shut down. Gasps echoed in the hall. Zoran shouted, "You've doomed us to repeat our hatred." Leora replied, "No, I gave us the chance to remember." She walked to her father and took his hand. Peace without choice is just another prison. Outside, the sky was turning red. A storm was coming, but this one wasn't hers. Far away, deep beneath the city, another figure had awakened. A scientist, a former general. He had created something worse than the pulse. Something alive, something angry, and it was coming for the girl. The mountain wind howled like it knew what was coming. John stood at the edge of the cliff, looking up at the ancient tower built into the rocks. The beacon. It was alien, tall, silent, long forgotten by time, covered in ice and moss. But it was their last chance. Beside him, Lena pulled her hood tighter. The cold didn't bother her, not anymore. What chilled her was something else. The feeling of being watched by something far above. Captain Reyna climbed over the rocks behind them. "The beacon's still intact," she said. "But it needs a signal core to activate." Lena nodded. "I can be the signal." John turned sharply. "Wait, what?" "The code in me," she said quietly. "It can speak across the stars. If I connect to the beacon, every world will hear us. Every resistance cell. Every enemy." Reyna looked uncertain. "If you connect, the warden will find you instantly." "He already has," Lena replied. "He just hasn't arrived yet." They entered the beacon tower. Inside, the air was electric. Ancient machines hummed as Lena walked past. Symbols on the walls lit up in soft blue, responding to her presence. At the center, a spiral column rose into the sky. It was hollow, built for a living signal. A being who could stand at its heart and awaken it with memory. Lena stepped forward. John grabbed her arm gently. "Are you sure?" She looked into his eyes. "I've run long enough." As she entered the core, the machines came alive. The walls pulsed with light. Outside, the clouds above the mountain began to swirl. Thunder without sound. A storm made of energy. Reyna looked up through the skylight. "He's coming." From orbit, the warden watched. Not with eyes, with sensors that stretched across gravity and time. His awareness slipped through satellites, signals, human thoughts. He felt her. The last spark of the lost code. He sent everything. On Earth, the sky tore open. A fleet of silver ships broke through the clouds, soundless and fast. Creatures began to fall like black rain. Hunters, shards, drones. More than anyone had ever seen before. The forest caught fire in silence. The mountains trembled, and the beacon glowed brighter. John and Reyna prepared for defense. "We can't stop an army," John said. "We don't have to," Reyna replied, loading her weapon. "We just need to hold the mountain until the signal goes out." John grinned, tired, but ready. "Then let's make them earn it." Lena stood inside the beacon core, eyes closed, her body floating now. Her thoughts became light. Her memories streamed into the machine. Her mother's face, her world before it burned. The code hidden in her DNA. She sent it all. Across the stars, the signal rose like a flame in the dark. It reached hidden colonies, broken ships, lost outposts, resistance fighters asleep in deep space. The galaxy woke up, but so did the warden. The first wave hit. Shards dropped onto the mountain, fast and silent. Reyna fired without hesitation. John fought beside her, using a strange weapon he barely understood. One by one, the defenders fell back, closer to the tower. Blood, fire, ash in the snow. But still, the beacon stood. Inside, Lena opened her eyes, and they were no longer just human. They burned like starlight. "I see him," she whispered. The warden entered the beacon, not physically, but through a crack in space. A shadow that wrapped around the walls. He spoke inside her mind. "You are alone, broken, just data in a dying body." She answered without fear. "Then why are you afraid of me?" The warden tried to overwrite her mind, erase her memories. But her mother had hidden them well. Each memory was like a shield. The day she was born, the song her mother sang, the moment John found her in the garden. They became her armor. Outside, John was bleeding. Reyna was down. The creatures were closing in. John dragged himself to the beacon and shouted her name. Lena, whatever you're doing, do it now. She heard him, and she remembered something her mother once told her. If the light inside you survives, then we all survive. Lena raised her hands. The beacon exploded with light. A wave of code burst out, pure golden, alive. The warden screamed. Every ship in the sky began to shake. Shards fell still. Hunters froze mid-air. The entire fleet began to break apart, like shadows burning in sunlight. The beacon's signal reached every part of Earth. Then beyond. Then silence. When John opened his eyes, the sky was blue again. The beacon tower stood tall, but quiet. No fire. No monsters. Just wind. Reyna stirred beside him, coughing. We're alive. John stood and limped into the tower. He found Lena lying in the center. Still, he dropped to his knees. Lena! Her eyes opened slowly. Faint light inside them. Her voice was barely a whisper. Did it work? John smiled through tears. You ended a war. Weeks later, news spread across Earth. Cities that had been secretly controlled were free. Systems returned to normal. People woke up from long silence, not knowing they had ever been watched. But more important, new signals began coming in. From Mars, Europa, other galaxies. The Resistance had heard her. And now Earth wasn't alone anymore. Lena lived in a quiet place now. A safe place. John stayed with her like a father she never had. Sometimes she looked at the stars. And somewhere, far away, a red star no longer pulsed. It was gone. Because one little girl remembered who she was, and refused to be erased.